So about this event that we are observing and celebrating, I want to just give you a very quick history of what's going on. In the year 1817 and 1890, 2 years apart, two individuals were born. The one born in 1890 took on the title of the Bab, the gate. The one born in 1817 took on the title of Baha'u'llah, the glory of God. That's what Baha'u'llah means. And as Christians are followers of Christ, we Baha'is are followers of Baha'u'llah. The word Baha'i comes from the word Baha'u'llah. But I want to tell you a little bit more about the birth. You know, when this is amazing in America, it happens a lot. When some prince or queen or some movie actor or actress has a child, it's headlines. It's all over the place. So-and-so actor had a child. But it is almost axiomatic that when these great beings come into the world, there is no headlines. No one knows that they're born. We only look back at their date of birth in retrospect and say it was in 1817 that Baha'u'llah was born. But when he was born, little notice except for his immediate family. I mean, that's the reality. For example, if you were to consider Christianity and think of the birth of Christ, there were no headlines, Christ was born today. There really was not. Even though the Bible says there were 3 wise men that came, there was really nothing about that. But 200 years ago today was the birth of Baha'u'llah, who we consider God's promised messenger to mankind for this day. We believe in the notion and the idea that religion is progressive. As mankind grows, as mankind advances, as our needs change, God, in His mercy and love and kindness, sends to us a new message. We accept the idea that each message is valid in its own time, as going to a classroom. Each teacher brings to you what is appropriate based on your intelligence, your ability to learn. There's a wonderful quote I used last night from Christianity. Jesus Christ says, I have many things to say unto you, but you cannot bear them now. Howbeit, when the Spirit of truth is come, He shall lead you to all truth. Every faith, every religion has essentially said the same thing. The teachings that you're given at a given point are appropriate for the time in which they're given. And at some point, those teachings must be renewed. So there is only one faith, the faith of God, eternal in the past and eternal in the future, as the Baha'is would say. But that faith unfolds over civilization, unfolds over the generation. Each new faith is a new chapter, an additional chapter to the book of God, which is never complete, never done. And the reason for that is, frankly, mankind will never stop changing. Mankind will never stop progressing. You know, Baha'u'llah talks about the oneness of mankind. Think about the time of Christ. The known world in the time of Christ was the Middle East. And, you know, when you think about the oneness of mankind, was Jesus Christ talking about Australia, America, or India? What was He talking about? Oneness of mankind, even if had He said it, of course, included just simple area around which He lived. So the teachings of that time and the teachings of this time are very different, have to be necessarily different. I think about this a lot. Perhaps it's my pessimist that comes out. But I have somewhat concluded that everything that we have today, all the systems, all the things that we have created do not work. Communism, socialism, capitalism, you name it, whatever ism that we have created does not function. Our systems of education, our systems of government, and let me be clear here. When I say our government doesn't work, I may be talking about America because I live in America and I'm an American. The fact of the matter is, there is not a system anywhere that works. Anywhere, in any part of the world that is functioning. What is the purpose of all these systems? To take care of what Jesus Christ described as the least amongst these. If we can't do that, we can't feed the hungry, we can't provide home for the homeless, we cannot take care of the refugee, we cannot do any of this, what's the point? When you think about what the current systems are doing, instead of improving things and making things worse, when you think about faith and you think about religion, you very quickly start to realize this. And Pew did a research survey, extended over 8 years. Anybody interested, I'll send you a copy of their research. In 8 years of research about religious attitudes in America, they say that a large percentage of the people in America fall under the category of I don't care about religion of any kind. Why is this true? Why are we, our forefathers, my great-grandfathers and grandfathers, your grandfathers, were religious people. They worked, they made money, they did all these kinds of things. But at the same time, they were spiritual people. My father, my grandfather, every Saturday they would drag us to one of the temples that we used to go to and pray. They thought that was an important part of our makeup. But now, so a friend of mine just came back from London, and he said, you know, the amazing thing is I went to this great big cathedral in London. I don't know which one you went to, but on a Sunday morning, there were 3 people in the whole place. It was completely empty. I went back and I did some studies on it, and it says that almost 50% of the population of London believe in no religion at all. So what's going on? What's happening? The situation in the world keeps getting worse as we give up religion, and at the same time religion is no longer meeting our basic needs. What is going on? Religion is like a bottle of medication. It comes with a date. Date by, used by date. When you get to that date, it stops having any impact on you. It does not cure your illness. So most of us have taken the bottle of medicine and chucked it and said, forget it, I don't want a religion, it doesn't work anyway. The other half says, no, my religion is right, I'm going to insist on taking it, and they keep taking it, and they wind up being the fundamentalists of every faith. Because what they do with their medicine, that medicine that they call the faith, makes matters worse, not better. Religion was never about terrorism. Religion was never about oppressing somebody else. Yet religion has come to that. We're going through an age of transition. We're going through an age when the old faiths no longer work and the new faiths have not yet taken effect. We Baha'is propose that Baha'u'llah, and the word simply means the glory of God, is a fulfillment of the prophecies and promises given to all religions of the past. That He brings the teachings, He brings the guidance, He brings to us what we must do if we are to survive, if we are to thrive, if the world of humanity is to come together. We no longer can say all Muslims are brothers or all Christians are brothers. We can no longer say that. We must say all men are brothers. It's just one word difference between so-and-so is brothers and all men are brothers. Just one. But it's a huge transition. It's a huge jump going from this to that. And not only must we believe that, but we must have the rules and the guidance that says this is how we live together in oneness and unity. I was telling somebody that I believe in the oneness of mankind, truly do. Every Saturday I go to Costco, I see oneness of mankind right there. Every race, every nationality, everybody of every background is right there at Costco. I don't go to buy anything, I just walk around to look. Every language is there. But you know what is missing? That technology, science, telecommunications. You know, my niece sent me a message from Bombay and says to me, you need to get WhatsApp on your phone so we can message you. And go looked at my kids and go, what's WhatsApp? What's that? And I had no idea. I mean, I come from, we were using smoke signals when I was a kid. But the point is that the world has changed so much. The world is dramatically different. You know, when I graduated high school, my father bought me an electric typewriter. And seriously, he did. And I thought, what a wonderful thing my dad did for me. I have an electric typewriter. And look at how quickly things have changed, how quickly technology has changed. I went to the opening ceremony of the India Temple of 86, 87. We have a Baha'i temple in just outside of New Delhi. I went to the opening of that temple. And I took a lot of pictures and then took them to a lab and had them develop the 35 millimeter. I had the best 35 millimeter camera, etc. Now that some of my friends went to an opening ceremony of a new Baha'i temple in Chile, and they were taking pictures and posting them on Facebook, instant pictures. And I was telling somebody 35 years ago, 86, 87, when I went 31 years ago, there was no internet, there was no cell phone, there was no Facebook, none of this existed. All this has changed. Everything has changed, and it's changing rapidly. What has not changed, and what needs to change is our mindset. What needs to change is our hearts. What needs to change is our souls. The external changes are all here. I give an example of going to bed one day when I was 20 years and 364 days old. And the next day my parents woke me up with, get up, you're an adult today. Really? I don't feel like that. I mean, I feel exactly like I did the night before. And that's where we are today, dear friends. We have come into collective adulthood. As mankind, we are coming into collective adulthood. But being adult and having the wisdom are two different things. We now need to work together. We need to work together to build a world that is good for our future generations. There's a wonderful quote from the Jewish Gospel, from Proverbs, that says, where there is no vision, people perish. Let me repeat that to you. Where there is no vision, people perish. And the problem we have today is that we have no vision. By the way, does anybody know how the Jews read the Bible on Sabbath day? There's a quote from the original quote from the Bible, very small block, and then on 4 or 5 sides there's notes. So-and-so rabbi said the following about this quote. So they're spread out, and there is a Aramaic quote, there's a Hebrew translation, then there is maybe some English, what your rabbi said, what about it? When I went back and discussed this and talked about this quote, where there is no vision, people perish. All the rabbis have agreed that this is talking about a prophetic vision. Not just any vision, but a prophetic vision, which means that we know where we are going, we know the direction in which we are headed, and this gives us all almost an impetus, gives our life meaning. It tells us why things are important, what things are important. Besides the simple act of making money and procreating and all this kind of stuff that everybody does, what is the reason, what is the purpose for our life? And so what I would ask you to consider, we as Baha'is believe that Baha'u'llah has given us the vision that we need in this day. Baha'u'llah is the fulfillment of the prophecies and promises. Somebody asked me, are you a Christian? And I said, yes, I believe in Jesus Christ both times. In essence, I really truly believe that when Jesus says, I will come back, when Hindus believe in the avatars of Krishna, when Buddhists believe in the coming of the 5th Buddha, when the Jews talk about the coming of Elijah and the Lord of hosts, that these prophecies have been fulfilled. imagine, and I use this and I want to use it again. Imagine walking along the River Jordan and this guy with long hair comes up to you and says, follow me. That's exactly what I am suggesting to you. Now, Baha'is believe in independent investigation. We believe that whatever you believe, you must read, study, understand, and accept for yourself. So I have tried to at least summarize for you what the events are today, what we are celebrating. We are celebrating the 200th birthday of Baha'u'llah, who we believe is God's promise to mankind for this day fulfilled.